Hey guys, Chairman here, bringing you the round 1 feature match of our weekly King Kong Weiss Schwarz tourney. Now recently I've had the privilege of organizing and starting a weekly tournament Weiss series at King Kong Games near Dublin, California. And so this is the first week that we started, and I decided to record one match per round for the tournament series, just to kind of get more eyes on gameplay from tournaments and kind of just go over them and learn from people playing the game. And I thought we would do this on my channel, so hopefully you guys are going to, I guess, enjoy or at least learn some things from my post-game commentary. So I haven't seen this game live. I was judging the game, but I wasn't really watching it too closely, and this will be my first time just really watching the entire game from the beginning. So on the left, we have a SAO 10th anniversary player playing against Mushoku Tensei. And so looking right here, Mushoku Tensei opens pretty solidly with the Rudy Runner. They discarded one climax for mulligan. That's pretty unusual, I would say. I think most Mushoku, or I think this could be considered a tell that the Mushoku player is not playing 8 standby, because an 8 standby player, generally speaking, would be mulliganing much more than just a climax. And of course, actually, now that I say that, the climax is the pans climax, so that is a hard tell that this player is probably on choice pans. SAO 10th player opens with the Yuki Brainstorm and attacks in the center. Not what you'd like to be doing. And I was kind of surprised that the Mushoku player didn't just run the Rudy Runner into the middle to try to block damage here. Okay, Mushoku player will use the Rudy PR to send the Yuki Brainstorm to the waiting room here. Not really necessary, of course. The Yuki Brainstorm is not very big, and with the Rudy Runner, he would have had a way to destroy it anyways, but just opening up the field for potentially more damage, which is not a bad thing. The Brainstorm will miss, and the Mushoku player probably is just going to attack twice here. Yes, that is correct. So yeah, the Rudy PR just mostly here to get in for damage. Of course, the on play kill effect not really coming in too much handy, because of course you would have a way to remove it anyways. But this does allow the Rudy Runner to be on the right hand side of the board, which allows it flexibility to run to the center if necessary. If he had to use it in the center, then he wouldn't have been able to run it away from the center. The SAO 10 player has canceled twice at level 0. Not necessarily a good thing for that deck. The deck does generally have a good level 0 game, but seeing as he opened with the Yuki Brainstorm, it's pretty likely that his hand is not well equipped, and as you can see, he's just attacking once with a clean cut. This is a very bad start for the SAO 10 player. Quite unfortunate. And it's met with a cancel here. That is quite bad. Mushoku player is going to pay 2 here to use the Rudy PR to salvage a card. Also a very nice effect of that Rudy PR, being able to salvage anything they want. Mushoku does lack a rekey option, if I remember my sets correctly. So having the ability to pay 2 to salvage anything is kind of a way to work around it. So between that and the rejured come and play from hand to clock something, you can kind of get both your advantage and the clock acceleration that you need. So making do without having just a generic rekey. Mushoku player here probably will clock. You've canceled twice at level 0, so definitely need a clock to accelerate your own game plan and game state. Most decks don't excel at staying at level 0 for very long, and Mushoku is definitely one of them. So Mushoku player will be looking at the top and bottom of SAO 10th player's deck. They are both clean, and thinking on pitching. Looks like there's no event in the waiting room to salvage, so just going to try field here and go for attacks. The Rudy is going to be 3500 power here, because the Mushoku player has 5 or more hand, which will get over the Asuna clean cut sitting at 3k power. This looks pretty good. Yeah, just a attack in 3 lanes. Now here, definitely SAO 10 player is on the back foot. Pretty low resources, in particular low hand, because of the having to give up the brainstorm and also only getting 2 attacks in. So low stock, low hand, and wasn't able to use the clean cut to save another character in the back row. Does get another cancel, which is pretty good here. That is 3 cancels already, if I am not mistaken, which means that the SAO 10 player does want to start milling here. Oh, it's a climax on the reveal of the Asuna runner. Well, it does have the Yuki brainstorm here, which is really good. Hits 2. That is a lot of climaxes. I think that's 6 climaxes out already from the SAO 10 player. So he's definitely going to want to mill here. Salvages 2 copies of the level 1 combo, which does mill up to 3. I can see the climax in his hand, so this will get him an extra 6 cards into his first deck, which is pretty good. This is actually a decent point of recovery here. And looking like he is considering playing the UE 1-0. Now the UE 1-0 doesn't do a lot here. It is on play level swap, or I think it's actually no, it's tap 2 level swap, and the on play no on play effect. So it's tap 2 level swap, and then the second effect is if on your turn, if you have I believe experience 2 or more, it gains 4,000 power, making it a respectable 7-5 beater. That's correct, yeah. So the UE is quite good, and the only reason for him to be playing the UE here in the back row is to not go overhand with the climax combo. So it looks like he has 4 cards in hand, 5 cards in hand. So if he does do 2 combos, which he will be able to do here, he will be going up to 7 cards. So if he doesn't play the UE here, he will not be able. He will have to discard a hand size, which is not very good. The UE doesn't have any on play effects, so it doesn't really matter that he plays it now as opposed to later. So cancel the first attack, mill 3 clean on the second attack, which is pretty expected at this point. He doesn't have very many climaxes left in deck. I think he might have only 1 climax in deck. It's either 1 or 2. I can't really tell how many are in waiting room here. And triggers for 2, takes a 2. This one should also mill 3 and probably mill clean. That's mill quite clean. Adds the 1-1 leaflet counter to protect the Kiritos. The Kiritos are modestly sized at 5-5 power defensively. With the Yuki brainstorm, you can add an additional, oh, that's the only on turn. Yeah, so this will be 5-5 on defense. With the counter, it will go up to 7-5, which is decent. And here, SAO 10 player is asking the judge, which is me, for a ruling question just on how the UE works in terms of the power condition. I believe I explained that it was experience 2, so not on the turn it's played, but it's a continuous effect. Mushoku player still at a pretty good spot right here. So took 2 hits, but is still very low level 1. And assuming that he does have the combo board, okay, he will have the Midgard event here to search, has the Roxy on board, and the blue in level to search. Looks like he's only going to be playing 1 and not an extra one, so discarding the climax, and looks like he will be going for the combo turn with the 1-0 Rudius. Now the 1-0 Rudius, okay, he has another event. I'm surprised he didn't just play both at the same time, but I guess he was thinking through his options. This is a good play, you know, just doing it one at a time, less likely to mess up. Now the Rudius is 5,000 power base. With the climax combo, will gain an additional 1,500, along with the actual climax itself, which gives another 1,000. So attacking for 7,500, which is exactly enough to tie the Kiritos with the counter. So definitely, if he has the climax, it will be very hard for the SAO 10 player here to save his board, even with the counters. So he's checking the power condition of the 10th anniversary Kirito. I believe it is only on the turn that the combo is being activated. So it gains additional 500 power when using the combo, but that power is not cross turn. So he searches a copy of the 1-1 that is a stock bomb for over level cards, and also I believe gets the climax by clocking yourself or something like that. Let me double check the card here. No, you have to discard a Rudius to search for the climax. Oh, it's the runner. Okay. Yeah, so we will see him. Oh, no, it looks like he has the climax in the hand. Okay, so he plays the 1-0 Roxy in the back row. She's a global 500 and also will give the specific combo Rudius an extra 1000 power. So now the Rudiuses are even bigger. They're sitting right now defensively at 6500 power. And then the other Roxy in the front row is 500 for every other, so 6k on her own, 6500 with the back row Roxy, and has the ability when you trigger either the choice climax that he has in play or the Roxy Pants climax, you can pay 1 to draw a card. So it allows you to pay out the climax that you trigger immediately, which is very, very nice in that deck. And so he has the combo. Looks like he will be contesting all 3 lanes. There's absolutely no way that SAO 10 can protect his Kirito's in this situation with the counter, so he's definitely going to let that go. Reveals 2. He's getting low on deck here, so he could consider not revealing as much depending on how many cards he has left in the deck. So triggering here for 2. Cancels with potentially the last climax in his deck, if I'm not mistaken. It's either that the last one or the second to last one. So he's checking how many cards in deck. Doesn't want to minus, so he does reveal 1 and then trigger the last card. So yeah, so if, over there, I think if he revealed 1 less, he would have been able to trigger. So in that situation, if he had grabbed the selfie, he would have triggered the PR, and then on the next attack, he would have been able to grab what he triggered here, trigger the event, or not trigger the event, trigger the climax, and then pay out the climax potentially, or if he doesn't want to pay out the climax, he can just leave it there. And then on the last attack, he would have been able to he milled in a way where he couldn't put the climax that he has in play back, but if he had just stopped earlier, he would have been able to. So that's just a possibility of, just milling less when you have less cards in deck. Then you don't necessarily need to mill as much, right? If you want to get the climax back in. So him checking 3 there was a little unnecessary, and also, you have different ways to like ditch bond to stuff and just filter cards out in your hand in this deck, so you don't necessarily need to add a specific card in a lot of times. So he will use the twin drive effect, so it was the last climax in the deck. He will be twin driving with the twin drive effect given by the Roxy Brainstorm on the climax placement. And it looks like he did trigger 1, so this will be for 3. SAO 10 player is shuffling and will take 1 more off the refresh. So ultimately pretty good play though from both players. The Mushoku player, finding full combo, setting up a very solid board to counter the SAO 10 player, especially accounting for the counter and just putting enough power on the board so that he doesn't have to worry about the leave of counter. And I think, nice cancel off the top here. I think SAO 10 player definitely is on the back foot, but still keeping it reasonably close here. Definitely like the first 2 turns were very rough, and so he is still kind of in recovery mode, trying to fight back. But he does have the 1-0 Yui here, who is easily able to swing over any of the Mushoku player's characters here. Mushoku does run the vanilla counter, which can counter up to 8k on any of these lanes, which means that the Yui by herself will not have enough power. However, the Yuki Brainstorm does assign 500 power at the start of climax step, which allows the Yui to hit 8k, and that will tie with the vanilla counter if the Mushoku player is playing the vanilla counter. Alright, so here SAO 10 player plays the early play. I believe the early play is 2 or fewer cards in waiting, or 2 or fewer climaxes in waiting room, and it is a top check up to the number of characters, anniversary characters on the stage, or anniversary and something else, I believe. Yeah, anniversary character, actually, just anniversary. Yeah, 2 or fewer climaxes. Also, if experience 6 or higher, also gives 1500 power. So he's playing out a full board with the early play Asuna, We have the 1-0 Kirito. He did add the climax off the Asuna top check 3, which I assume he will be playing here and using it to mill a bit more into the deck, since he canceled off the top deck and then has already seen 2 climaxes. So does need to kind of dig into the deck a little bit now that he's seen a few climaxes and his compression is not as great. So he's probably asking for powers here, just trying to figure out. With the climax, now the Yui will be over, even if the Mushoku player has the 1-0 counter. So now he potentially could give the 500 power to the Kirito. So the Kirito is 5-5 base with the climax 6-5, climax combo 7 with the Yui 7-5. Oh, still 500 short of the counter. So if he has the 1-0 counter, even if the Yui pump goes to the Kirito, it will still be enough to counter over. So we'll see if that comes into play here. But the Asuna is definitely going to be over, and the Yui is definitely going to be over. He triggers a choice climax here. Unfortunate. Definitely not what you want to be seeing here. Is deciding to go to stock. So generally speaking, if you trigger a choice on the first attack of the turn, you almost always want it to go to stock, because if you trigger another choice, oh, that is not great. Double climax triggers here is unfortunate, and the Mushoku player cancels twice off the top, finds another choice climax on the mill. That is actually pretty bad. Wow, the SAO 10th player is definitely not having good climax luck here at all. Adds the 2-1 Asuna, triggers another choice. What? You're kidding me. Oh my. That is that's not good. So unfortunately, Sword Art Online does not have a refresh counter to my knowledge. The counter that the SAO 10 player added was a memory kick counter. I don't think the set actually has a refresh counter, at least not in an anniversary set. So yeah, a refresh counter here would be ultimately ideal, because you basically get to counter on any of the lanes, and then you can pay out all 3 climaxes and put them back in. This is why refresh counter is such a strong counter in general, and refresh counter has historically been on a ban list for Bane Dream specifically. You know, just your normal 2-1 pay to refresh counter has been on a ban list. It is a very strong type of counter. A lot of sets that don't have it are balanced by the fact that they don't have it. For example, like Hololive. So here is a great example of where a refresh counter would be absolutely ideal, and not having it is a little bit unfortunate for the SAO 10 player. And I believe he also had to discard on a hand size here. Maybe not. Sorry, I was looking at something else, verifying some cards. But looks like the Mushoku player is just going to play a full field. Still at level 1, shockingly. So not able to use the early play Rudiuses to attack board, but doesn't need to. Has the 1-1 Rudius, which is a stock bomb. And this stock bomb has the added upside of burying the climaxes even further into that stock, which is crazy here. Triggers choice, adding the 3-2 Rudius. So I generally think that the first choice should be going to stock, if at all possible. However, there is a what do you call it? Yeah, there is in a situation where you really need to get a specific card into your hand, you do want to just add it, right? Like that's number 1 priority, of course. However, yeah, if you have the option to choice stock, I would always choice stock on the first, because now you trigger a choice, and if you want to choice stock, you're burying the choice trigger, the first choice trigger that you triggered, way deeper into the stock. You have to pay it out, unfortunately, like more. So now he has to basically choice the hand again, just so he can pay out the stock way more, I guess, reasonably. He does have 2 of the Rudius PR here, so that when they die, they can pay 2 to salvage a card, but it's not a good resource conversion, right? So like if you trigger a choice and you salvage a card, you're just getting the card immediately, right? It's better than choicing, getting stock, and then paying 2 to salvage a card, because then you're actually -1 stock, which is not ideal. So yeah, so like right here, he is going to pay 2 to salvage. He still has the choice trigger in stock, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, that does allow him to basically completely rebuild his hand here, and that's really really powerful. And it looks like he did side with the last Rudius, which is why it's still on the field here. And he was able to also trigger there, I believe, to hit the side for 1. Using the Heathcliff here, SAO 10th player is going to pay 1 and top check up to 4. There's only 1 card left in deck. He adds it and is going to refresh with, I believe he's still missing. So he has a climax in hand, and I think he still has at least 1 climax in stock. So going back with probably 6 climaxes here and a whole level down, which is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate for the SAO player. Does have the Kirito on field and has, as we know, he has the combo in hand, so can potentially, yeah, so oh, he had 2 in there. Oh, that's worse than I thought. Okay, so he went back with 5. Finally gets to pay out all the climaxes, which is good. And does have one of the 1-0, or sorry, the 1-0 combo. Yeah, he does have a pants in hand, so he can mill 3 off the combo here to try to dig into his deck a little bit more. But again, he's in such a bad position. He's refreshed with 5. His deck is very huge, and he has very low resources in terms of stock. Again, the early game basically denying him an extra stock or 2, which would matter a lot here because the combo, the Kirito Asano combo is decently stock intensive. Mushoku player levels up, pops 2 of the pendants to get a search 2. This is the strongest part of pendant, just being able to kind of activate in the middle of battle, search 2 clean cards out of your deck, so you compress your deck even more during the battle phase. It's really, really strong, I guess, mechanic of the pendants, and it's super easy to control because if you just refresh well, if you refresh like 1-5, 1-6, then this is bound to happen. It's very likely and gets the cancel on 3. Very, very nice cancel numbers here. SAO 10 player is deciding to mill. I would just mill all 3. Unfortunate on the last hit there, but you just kind of have to mill all 3 here. You're already in a bad situation, and milling less isn't going to make it better. You just want to decrease your deck size and decrease the variance, because if you have a large deck, you know, it's just completely random and the pockets are going to be huge. Just the more you mill down, the better, if you can. Unfortunately here, he only had access to about 3 mil, so it kind of doesn't matter to some extent. But I think you're milling here also for the prospect of your next turn to get, because you're probably going to take a level here, and then, or at least like 4 damage, and then on the following turn you want to have a smaller deck to work with, not only for just like your brainstorm, but also if you're trying to go for the Kirito combo, you also have a smaller deck so you can mill climaxes more readily and access the burn. Unfortunately, our SAO 10 player here only has 5 stock, which means only 1 Kirito combo. So I would expect the SAO 10 player here, game plan to be to use 2 stock, up to 2 stock the following turn to kind of rebuild board, gain advantage, and then go up to 6. And then the following turn, hopefully his opponent is at higher level 2 and he can do a double Kirito Asano combo to close out the game here. So basically SAO 10 player needs an extra turn, but with an extra turn he has a decent chance at stabilizing and going for a double combo, which is pretty good. That's kind of the strength of that deck, is that double combo is just 6 stock and is a powerful finishing option. So not as far behind as one might think. There's still a good chance that the game can turn around. Mushoku player here mills brainstorms empty, but that's 4 cards not going back into the deck, so his compression is looking quite strong here. Will take damage up to 2-4 and have a turn here. The Mushoku player has no climax in the win room, so can early play heal if he has it in hand. Ooh, hits the climax. A little bit unfortunate, but definitely can still heal out of that with an early play heal. Has pretty low stock here. Probably due to the fact that he's been choosing hand instead of choosing stock. Again, I think the first one should always choice stock, just gives you more option to work with. And then the second, if you trigger choice after the first choice, then those can go to hand, so you don't bury the choice deeper into stock. So we do see the early play heal, so we'll heal the climax to the top of his stock, and would need another way to pay that out, and does not have a climax, or does not have a brainstorm on the field to pay that out with currently. Or you could just leave it there. If you leave it there, attack 3 times, you will go up to 4 stock, allows you to do double Roxy combo the following turn, which is pretty good. So that's also an option here. Decompression is quite good, even though he's refreshed climax. He's going to use the Sylphette memory, send to memory, to look at 3 cards from the top of his deck, choose, oh, it's actually 4, I believe, but he's going to stop at 3. Choose one of them to add to his hand. Oh, it is 3 cards. Never mind. It's not 4 cards. Oh, not as good as I thought it was. Yeah, so looks at 3 as 1, and proceeds to play 2 of the reduced combo. Does he have the combo here? That means that he must have drawn it? Or maybe he kept it from the previous turn. I'm trying to think if he had an option to ditch it. I guess he didn't really have an option to ditch it on the previous turn if he had the climax earlier. But I actually, on the previous turn, if he had the climax, I would have played it just to push more damage. So he does have a climax. He must have either drawn it off of this turn or kept it from the previous turn. If he kept it from the previous turn, it is kind of shocking to me that he did not play it on the previous turn when this is not the right climax. Oh, he's just doing this to push damage. Okay. I mean, I think that's reasonable, especially if he does have another climax in hand here. And the SAO 10th player has just basically revealed a lot of climaxes, so there's a good chance that this will push a lot of damage and put the SAO 10th player, in a situation where he cannot have another turn. So the 3 sticks here, triggering for another 3, that also sticks. Yeah, so this is unlikely that the SAO 10th player will have a second turn at 3, especially if this last attack hits, because the SAO 10th player again only has 2 stock to work with here if he wants to double combo, which is basically the only way that he gets back into the game. Twin drive triggers another choice. This one should definitely go to stock here. You want to hit 4 stock so that you can... No, he does not go to stock. Interesting. You see, opting to only have 3 stock for the final turn. That's very strange. You want 4 stock so you can double Roxy here, I think. I think that would be better. And it's not like he's hurting on hand. Roxy does also just burn 1 with the climax combo, even if you cannot discard as the cost. So I think in general, if you have the option to go for a double Roxy here, you would just go for double Roxy, take the burn 1, burn 3. Even if that's just better than just having only 1 burn 3. He will use the Asuna top check 4. Oh, he does. Okay, so plays the Kirito Asuna for a heal, then plays the Asuna top check 4. So he is still within the 4 stock budget that I gave him, or the 2 stock budget I gave him earlier. He's just playing the Kirito Asuna right now to get the heal, potentially to have an extra turn, but still within the 2 stock, right? So he's only spent 2 stock on something that's not Kirito Asuna, because the 6 stock on the final turn is for playing 2 Kirito Asunas and then also being able to use the combo twice. So as long as he can protect the Kirito Asuna here without using additional stock, which unfortunately he doesn't have counters, so he's gonna have to hope that the Kirito Asuna stays alive, just by sheer force of will, and I guess the strength of the Kirito Asuna card being 11k power with the experience condition. So he's kind of have to bank on it. I would potentially just move the Kirito Asuna to back row. That's also another option here. Move it to back row to keep it around for the next turn. Just attack with your other cards, and then the following turn, play Kirito Asuna, play the combo. See, hopefully, if you can get that to stick, you could go for a lethal push. Kirito Asuna is quite expensive in terms of resources, however, and he's not doing that well in terms of hand resources. He's been kind of on the back foot this entire game, so there's a good chance that he wouldn't be able to double combo even if he had, I guess, the stock for it. So it is viable to just attack with the Kirito Asuna, hope that it lives another turn. Triggers a choice. How is this man triggering so many climaxes at the worst time? So he does go for a stock, so this does give him an extra stock to work with, which is fantastic for. Wow, I mean, that, yeah, that's wow. Okay, wow, he just keeps triggering climaxes. I think if he didn't trigger those two choices, well, obviously he wouldn't have 6 stock here, but he'd be in a decent position to cancel in his deck. Actually, now I don't even know if he has climaxes left in his deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He only has 1 at most. So looking unlikely to be able to survive this turn here. Yeah, with just 1 climax in deck, it looks like his deck has at least like 5 cards. So maybe 1 cancel, and then he'll take a 3 refresh, take a 2, and it's basically the game. Mushoku player chooses not to clock, which is definitely the right play here. Plays the early play Rudy's. Yeah, early pick initial, I believe, is just Form Other. Yep, Form Other, and has the on play plus 4,500 power until the end of your opponent's turn, and then both players cannot play backups. So this will cleanly get over the Kirito Asuna. Kirito Asuna player will not be able to be the player will not be able to protect Kirito Asuna with the counter, especially the memory counter here, and plays a climax for good measure. Does have a 1-0 Rudius on the board for the combo to basically replace the climax in his hand with another card in his deck, and also kind of cycle a bit, which is really good for Mushoku player here. Triggers here for 3. I think the climax play is good because it does allow for 3/3/3 on the swings, and then you can dig deeper into your deck. And by digging deeper, I think the player is kind of out in terms of climaxes. Oh, so okay, he will use the lethal counter here, reveal, add to hand. So this is not going to counter over. This is just mostly to filter 1 card and go deeper, hoping to get to that cancel that he really needs. Also paying out a climax to put back into the refresh. So now he will be refreshing with 7 climaxes here. Gives him the best opportunity to cancel. Direct attack here for 3, and yeah, so for 3/3. Oh, he did double trigger here. I don't know if I would have done the twin drive here if he didn't need to, but doesn't trigger on any of those, so it is swinging here for lethal. Yeah, the twin drive was a little unnecessary. Should have just swung, or I guess he could have potentially done the twin drive to dig deeper into his deck if he's already out of out of climaxes, so this way he potentially could refresh with better timing. But at this point, you know, your opponent's almost dead. I think you should prioritize the lethal here, not give your opponent a chance to kind of rebuild and come back. So SAO player will need to cancel off the top of the deck here in order to survive, which is still possible, but definitely not likely. We have the cut, and that will be the 3 damage. Good game by both players. A little unlucky on the SAO 10th player side in terms of triggering climaxes, but still played pretty expertly. No misplays. Played to his outs. And Mushoku player, I think, yeah, just recognizing when your opponent is not doing well in terms of luck and just applying the pressure needed to kind of force the situation. So good match on both players' point of. You know, congratulations to the Mushoku player for moving on to the tournament, and yeah, hopefully we'll have the next round's game up soon. And if you guys enjoy this, you know, feel free to subscribe. We'll try to do this every week in the foreseeable future. So yeah, until next time, this has been Chairman signing off.